And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Starting off with the hazardous weather graphic here, the high wind warning here for the Pribilof Islands, St. Paul and St. George, that ends at 7 p.m. this evening, which time winds will continue to slowly diminish and should get under warning levels at least by that time, again about 7 p.m. And for the Bristol Bay area, the coastline, still looking at a coastal flood, a high surf advisory for the coast here of Bristol Bay, and that's out until 10 p.m. this evening, and still expecting 10-foot waves to crash onto the shore, and that could cause some minor beach erosion. On the satellite imagery, we've got one system here off into Canada, exiting the Panhandle early on, and then this next storm coming eastward, passing just to the north of St. Paul Island today, and right in the perfect spot for the strongest winds there in St. George, and even some lesser winds, but still pretty gusty down toward Dutch Harbor and Alaska, and even stronger for the Alaska Peninsula. That low tracking eastward and starting to fill now as it approaches the southwest coast there, actually heading in right toward Cape Newenham. And front spreading some weakening as it pushes in. Not really much of a rain producer here east of the Alaska Range, just some areas of light rain with it. And moisture moving quite rapidly into the Yakutat area, this brighter band of clouds. And not much in the way of any precipitation up into the Tanana Valley there. And a dry area here, back to more clouds for the Arctic coast. Out to the west, really not much behind it, just some loose, disorganized clouds out toward Shimia and Attu. And here on the Panhandle today, it was a partly to mostly sunny day, but the clouds now starting to increase along the north coast there. But some pretty good sunshine there for the southeast coastal areas. And on the chart today, here's that low center tracking eastward there, approaching Kuskokwim Bay this afternoon, with the pressure up to 968 millibars from lower pressure earlier on today, whatever that was. I forgot to memorize that, but anyway, it's weakening, still at 968 millibars, and the front weakening also as it pushes eastward here. Not really kicking the winds up too much here for south central Alaska or Kodiak Island, or actually into the interior, but still some good winds starting out south to southwest here, becoming northwest over the southeast Bering Sea, and good strong west winds here across the eastern Aleutians into the Alaska Peninsula. Drier to the east and to the northeast here, some scattered showers up there over the Kobuk Valley, southern slopes of the eastern or the western Brooks Range area. But out to the west here, higher pressure developing with much lighter winds and some clearing here across the Aleutians this afternoon, even on the lee side of the Fox Islands there. And how some of the stronger wind gusts today, well, the strongest wind gust reported was 81 miles per hour at St. Paul Island. It's been quite some time since they had an 80 mile per hour wind gust there. In St. George, 77 miles per hour, 40 miles to the southeast there of St. Paul. And Cold Bay, much farther to the south, had 68 miles an hour, and Sand Point, 60 miles per hour. Well, those winds will lighten up tonight here, especially over the eastern Aleutians. They're markedly diminish here up toward the Pribilofs. Still pretty gusty, looking for gale force winds tonight and into tomorrow for Bristol Bay and the Alaska Peninsula there. Lighter for the southwest coast. Still some showers going on. Periods of light rain here for southern Alaska. And as that low crosses the Aleutian Range, continuing to weaken, moving in toward Kuskokwim Bay toward morning, or after midnight actually. And then rain chances increasing here along the coastline of the Panhandle, some of that moving into the northern areas there, extending back to the west. And forecast for tomorrow, this low slowly moving eastward now continues to weaken here, up to 1,001 millibars, so the wind's not much of a factor, but still northwest, could see gusts 35 miles an hour for Kodiak Island, and maybe even a few higher gusts there. That should dry it out, and maybe seeing some clearing there. But look for some pretty good shower activity along the western Alaska Range, northern Kuskokwim Valley, back toward the Kuskokwim Mountains, and ending back here to the west. High pressure building in over the Bering Sea. Scattered showers to the northwest, and this weakening front brings rain across much of the south, or all of the southeast coast, down into the Queen Charlottes. Out to the west, high pressure over the Bering Sea, and then the next warm front coming onto the map there, and then that whole system finally gets on the chart Thursday afternoon. Not all that impressive here. Look for an increase in the winds a little bit there for the western Aleutians and rain, and along with some rain. But from about Kiska eastward, dry with partial clearing for the Aleutians. High pressure here along the southwest coast, actually dominating much of the central Bering Sea areas to the west. Partly sunny, south central Alaska, still a risk of a shower over the Talkeetnas. And then an area of showers here, a couple of disturbances coming over the top of this high, bringing showers with them, and maybe some light rain and snow showers possible for the central or east central Arctic coast, but looking pretty nice and dry. Light winds now, calm after the storm here for the Bristol Bay area, Kodiak, and the North Gulf Coast. Winds going light and variable there for Kodiak Island, and showers for the Panhandle. This next system will probably move up to the southeast coast later in the week. And for the lows tonight in the 40s for the Panhandle, 30s and 40s here over the interior, with lower 30s for the Brooks Range and lower to mid 40s for the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. Highs for tomorrow in the lower 50s here for south central Alaska, Bristol Bay, mid 50s, upper 50s Kodiak Island, and mid to upper 50s for the southeast coast. Right around 50 here in the north central interior, eastward to about Eagle, then in the 40s to the west, and 40s from the Brooks Range out to the Arctic coast. And the lows for Thursday morning, finally getting a little below 30 degrees there. Anaktuvuk Pass forecast low of 29, otherwise staying above freezing for the most part from the North Slope and Arctic coast, as well as much of the interior here. 35 in the Copper River Basin, 45 to 50 for the Panhandle, and about the same out here to the west, but mostly in the 40s. And then highs, 50s, south central Alaska, Kodiak Island, mostly in the 40s now, up over the interior, a little milder, closer to 50 or 52 for Chalk-Yitzhak and Fort Yukon, and still mild for the North Slope and Arctic coast, and in the 50s for the Panhandle.